Hello and welcome back to a brand new vlog. My name is Orion. I post videos every single Wednesday and Sunday at 6 p.m. where we are currently renovating our home. In our last vlog, my goal was simple, and that was to empty this room to get ready for painting. However, I needed to build a box unit out of the wall so we've got somewhere to store our drinks and our photos, stuff like that. And today I intend on finishing it by putting some sockets above. Before we go any further, I just need to interject the vlog real quick. Now, before the DIY begins in today's vlog, I just want to let you guys know that this is for entertainment purposes only. Like, I don't want you guys to watch what I'm doing and imitate it or try copy it at home. I have obviously done a lot of research prior to what I'm about to do, but at the end of the day, this is still DIY and it's just for me. So please don't copy what I'm gonna do because it is gonna be a bit wild. Hence why I got this little dude out. But I'm always learning, so if you have any suggestions, comments, or feedback, then please do let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, back to the vlog. So to start things off, I'm gonna take the boards off the wall here and I'm gonna draw some chase lines up here to where the sockets are gonna go. We just need to mark out where we're gonna put the sockets and then repeat the process on the left. And now we know where our sockets are gonna go on the wall. We can take our saw and cut them out. That is one hole done. And then the box should fit snug in there, like that. But before we leave that there, I want to secure it into the wall. So with a little bit of timber, I'm going to place that behind the wall and screw it in place. Like so, and then we can put the box in like that and screw it straight into the timber. And then we know it ain't going nowhere. Now to repeat the process for this section. All right, now that we have the two sockets in the wall, we need to cut a couple of chases in the wall to run the cables. And then when we got the chase in, we're going to use this PVC to run the cable through. And then finish it off with some poly filler to smooth it all out. So with the jobs in mind, I think it's time for a bit of a time lapse. Feels like many hours later, we have sockets on the wall and I've got them filled. Now, by no means is this done perfectly. Originally, I did want PVC in the wall, but I couldn't find a way to stick it in. And then when I went out to home base to try and get some tacks to tack it into place, I couldn't find anything. So in the end, I ended up just using some twin and earth cable clips to clip it into the wall and then plastered over the top. All I need to do now is wait for this to set, go over it again with some more filler, and then using the DeWalt mouse, I can smooth it down. Meanwhile, Jess and Brittany have been working on sanding these walls down, getting them ready to paint. So the holes we filled in earlier are nice and smooth and ready for primer. Alright, back to the box unit. I need to stick the MDF back on so it's ready to be polyfilled. But just to address something, obviously these cables are hanging out the wall, and normally I wouldn't. I'd like to chase them all the way down to the skirting, take the skirting off and hide it behind the wall. I can't really do that, so I've kind of popped these out here, and obviously it's going to be hidden behind the MDF, so you won't see it anyway. There'll be no cables visible on the show, and then when we come to take it apart, obviously we can see where the cables go. I know it's proper DIY Dave, but it is what it is. All right, before I put the MDF boards back on there, the top board needs to be cut down to size so I can put two there. So I've got the jigsaw out, I'm going to cut them down to size. All right, I've got my two boards cut to size. I now just need to put the front on. And a few screws later, we've got the MDF boards on. The top is in, and it's basically good to go. All I really need to do now is wait for the polyfiller to dry and then actually polyfill this and sand it all down. So I think we'll paint this wall last. But Matt, it has to be said, I'm actually quite proud of the fact that I've managed to learn how to insert two new sockets into the wall and spur off an old radial circuit as well. I actually got all the equipment and did it properly. I didn't mess around and like do some kind of bodge job by the wires sticking out the wall, but we won't talk about that. Otherwise, I actually think it turned out okay. Once that is all filled, sanded and painted, I reckon it'll look great. Speaking of which, we've only made our way halfway around the room with the paint, and this is the only bit that is left to paint. Now, I think we could probably go all the way up to the end of the wall there and just leave this till last. But we are getting to a point where things are running out of batteries, so we can't sand this down. So I think I'm gonna have to use the hand sander and just give it a good old bit of elbow grease. That is much better. So let's jump back into a time lapse. well. I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me, but I have a feeling that we've got the wrong paint. Because this is now the second coat that I've put on here, and I swear it only takes a couple of coats of primer. The one thing that I have noticed about this particular paint is it dries very, very quickly, and I wonder if that's because of how thin it is, but it's just not covering the walls the way I want it to. And it still takes a couple of hours for it to actually dry. So I'm kind of getting to that point now where I'm stumped because the paint's not really covering the wall how I'd like it to. It takes a bit too long for it to dry, which means that we have to kind of sit around and wait before we can carry on painting again. I'm not entirely sure if I can carry on painting another coat on a wet coat. I feel like it has to dry a little bit first. So I'm thinking now is because, the sun is starting to go down, we're running out of daylight. And these lights in the ceiling aren't great. I have to keep moving them. It's very annoying and you can't really see what you're doing. So it's a bit hard for me to film. I'm thinking we leave it for now, come back tomorrow morning, see how covered the wall is. And if it's okay, then we'll carry on using the paint. And if not, then I'll nip out and I'll get some proper thick, like Dulux paint. Because the paint that I got is this Leyland Walls and Ceilings Matte White Emulsion paint. Because when I went to B&Q, there was like loads of staff and she was like, take this one. And she basically put it in my hands. I was like, okay, I'll just trust her because she works here. But I'm beginning to wish that I'd got the Dulux stuff. Either way, let's jump through to tomorrow. All the paint would have dried. My polyfiller would have dried as well, so we can get that covered again. And then hopefully we can look at finishing this wall. So I'll see you there. Alrighty, looks like that has dried and this is not the right paint. I've done some research and discovered that I have indeed used the wrong paint on this wall. That's what I get for listening to staff. I went to go and buy Dulux and she's like, oh, this will save you money. It's much more affordable. It dries faster. I was like, okay then. It is what it is. So today we're going to get the Dulux paint and do another couple of coats on here. Obviously I won't time-lapse that because I have since discovered that this light flickers on the time-lapse. I'm really sorry about that. But as of my watch right now, it is currently 8:27, which means the shops aren't open yet. So in the meantime, I have come back early to dismantle this and clean up my work behind. A few screws later, we've got the MDF off. I'm going to basically trail this along here and then run it into the timber. And then using some cable clips, I'm going to pin it to this timber here and then basically snug it down there. A couple of clips later, it looks much neater. Hindsight tells me that maybe I should have trailed all the way down to just the top of the skirting board and then run it across the top there. Maybe that would have been better, but I don't know. This is my first time doing it. In my mind, because it's going to be behind this MDF board and nothing's going to be screwed into it, it doesn't really matter that the cable's there. You can't see it. I thought that'd be fine. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Either way, it's all clipped up and secured to the wall now. Next up, we're going to give it a quick sand down so I can put another layer of polyfiller over it. All right, time for some more filler. Okay, jobs are good. All I need to do now is wait for that to dry so I can sand it on again. It'll be all smooth. And then when I paint over it, you won't have any idea that I've filled it like crazy. But right, I've got the MDF board back on and it is about time to go get the paint. And hopefully this one does the job. It says that it is extra thick and it's easy to apply and it only needs one coat to simply refresh the walls, which is exactly what we need to do. So as we've had a million time lapses today, this is what the wall looks like before. And after one coat, this is what it looks like now. So I think it's actually done a really good job over here, but as you can see down there, there is still a little bit of the paint from before. However, for the rest of the room, it is completely white and looking fresh now. Unfortunately, this stuff hasn't dried yet, so we can't paint this wall right now. And I can't do another coat on this area because again, it's not dry. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit before we can finish it off. And thanks to a big old fan that I bought many, many years ago, it is now dry. Which means I can get to sanding this down and we could put a second coat over here. Which, after doing so, I don't think we're going to get rid of the white lines. I don't even know if you can see it on the camera, but yeah, there are kind of white stripes on this. Not too bothered about it, but this is all sanded down now and ready to be painted. I've actually put the top board on as well and sealed it all. But otherwise, I think it's good to paint. So this is the before, a middle after one coat, and this is what it looks like with two coats. Now, as you can see, the lines are still kind of visible, so I'm thinking we're going to put one more coat on it. However, this wall here has had 3 coats on it now, and you can still see the lines. On camera, you can't see them too much, but when you get up and close in person, you can really see the lines. So I think we're going to put one more coat on that back wall there, and then just leave it as it is. We're not going to get too stressed and burnt down by it, because ultimately one of the main reasons you can see the lines on this wall is because the light hits it, and when we build the calyx unit back in place and stuff like that, it'll be a snug and you won't really notice it too much. The goal of that side of the room is to be a bit more cozy and dark, so you're not going to really notice the lines on the wall, especially when we do the next coat of paint on it. But for now, I'll leave you guessing as to what colour we should put there. And I think that is where I'm going to wrap up today's vlog. It has honestly been quite the task doing this, and like I said before, Halfway through, it did look like proper DIY Dave, and now that it's all painted and covered over, it looks much better and a lot cleaner. It may not have been the best way to do it, but honestly, I think it looks great. The fact that before this vlog, I had absolutely no idea how to even do that, and now that I've done it myself, I could say that I could probably build like a media unit on the wall. I think next time I do something like this, where I build a box unit out, and like say for example, if I do a media wall, I'm probably going to use plasterboard next time and learn how to plaster and fill it all properly, because MDF was very good and incredibly sturdy. I probably would have saved a few pennies if I'd gone for plasterboard. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this vlog, please leave a thumbs up rating. I'd appreciate that. If you're new around here, feel free to subscribe. But as always, it's been Orion. I love you very much. Peace, peace, much love. Bye-bye.